All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll get started now. My name is John Hanger. I'm the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. And first I want to begin by thanking those who are members of this church and who are running this church, for opening this church to the Department of Environmental Protection, and of course all of the guests that are here. I very much appreciate that. It's obviously very wet outside, and I think our first thought was that we were going to do this event in a tent, and given the weather that we're experiencing right now, that obviously would have been not the best of locations. So again, thank you to this church for opening its doors to all of us. I'm going to make a fairly lengthy presentation to you, and then after I'm done, we're going to have Kathy Pate, who is the president of Pennsylvania American Water Company, also address you and say what she needs to say or wants to say to you. And after Kathy is finished making her remarks, I will be available for questions, and to the extent that there are questions that Kathy can address or wants to address, she'll be also available to answer questions. So, without further ado, let me get right into this. We are here today to really right a wrong. We're here to deliver permanent, safe water to at least 18 families who have had their water impacted by gas migrating from wells drilled by Cabot. This impact on their wells has unfortunately now extended nearly 2 years. We're also going to be here, I think, today to really reaffirm an old, timeless principle that is true for families, it's true for companies, it's true for the government, it's true for all of us. It is much better to do the job right the first time rather than try to deal with a mess when you don't do the job right the first time. All of this for the Department of Environmental Protection at least began in January of 2009 when we commenced an investigation of complaints and events in this area concerning gas migrating from some of the sites that have been drilled here to people's homes and water supplies. And I want to take some time to go through the first consent order and agreement that Cabot signed with the department. The first consent order agreement was signed in November 2009. And I want to read to you, not the whole document, but I am going to take the time to read to you some of the findings that are in this document that, again, Cabot and its attorneys signed. This is the first consent order agreement in November 2009, because I think a lot has happened, and we need to take some time to review those facts, and indeed the documents that Cabot itself has signed. On February 27, 2009, the department issued Cabot a notice of violation for, among other things, discharging natural gas, a polluting substance, to the waters of the Commonwealth without authorization and for failing to prevent gas from entering fresh groundwater. On May 13, 2009, the department issued Cabot a notice of violation for failing to properly cement casing at certain of the Cabot wells and for failing to prevent gas from entering groundwater from the Cabot well known as the Guestford 3 well. Excessive pressure, improper or insufficient cement casings. This is in the next heading. Based upon its investigation since January 2009, the department has determined the following. Again, this was in November of 2009. 2 Cabot wells, known as the Baker 1 well and the Ely 4 well, had excessive pressures. 2, the Cabot wells known as the Guestford 3 well, Guestford 9 well, and Teal 5 well had insufficient or improper cemented casings that allowed gas to vent between various cemented casings and/or from behind the surface casing. 3. The Cabot wells known as the Brooks 1H well, Eli 5H well, and Eli 7V well have gas venting in the cellar of these wells, indicating that these wells may have insufficient or improper cemented casings. 4. As of the date of this consent order and agreement, Cabot has not corrected the insufficient or improper cemented casings at the Gassford 3 well, Gassford 9 well, and Teal 5 well. That is already 10 months after the investigation began. Pollution of private water supplies. During its investigation since January 2009, the department has collected samples from wells that provide drinking water to 13 homes located near the Cabot wells. And these samples contained elevated levels of dissolved methane gas. In addition, the department identified combustible gas in the head spaces of 7 of the affected water supplies. A list identifying the affected water supplies is attached as Exhibit C and incorporated herein. Based upon its investigation since January 2009, the department has determined the following. 10 of the affected water supplies are less than 1,000 feet from one or more of the Cabot wells. Those 10 affected water supplies have elevated levels of dissolved methane and/or the presence of combustible gas in the drinking water wells. The presence of dissolved methane and/or combustible gas in the 10 affected water supplies occurred within 6 months of completion of drilling of one or more of the Cabot wells. As such, Cabot is presumed to be responsible for the pollution to these 10 affected water supplies pursuant to Section 208C of the Oil and Gas Act, 58 Purdon's 601.208C. 3 of the affected water supplies are within 1,300 feet of one or more of the Cabot wells. Based upon the presence of elevated methane in the water supplies, the presence of combustible gas in water well head spaces, the close proximity of these 3 affected water supplies to the Cabot wells, the close proximity of these 3 affected supplies to the other 10 affected water supplies, and other factors, that the department has determined that Cabot is also responsible for the pollution to these 3 affected water supplies. A chart identifying the distances of all of the affected water supplies from the Cabot wells is attached as Exhibit D and incorporated herein. Discharge of natural gas into the groundwater. Based upon its investigation since January 2009, the department has determined the following. 1. Cabot had caused or allowed the unpermitted discharge of natural gas, a polluting substance, into the groundwater, which constitutes a water of the Commonwealth, as that term is defined in our laws. 2. As of the date of this consent order and agreement, Cabot has taken certain actions approved by the department to prevent the ongoing unpermitted discharge of natural gas into the waters of the Commonwealth. Gas migration violations. Cabot's failure to properly case and cement the Gassford 3 well, Gassford 9 well, and Teal 5 well to prevent the migration of gas or other fluids into sources of fresh groundwater is a violation of, and it cites a section of the law. Cabot's failure to correct this insufficient or improperly cemented casing at the Gassford 3 well, Gassford 9 well, and Teal 5 well is a violation, and again it cites another section of our laws. Cabot's pollution of the affected water supplies and failure to restore or replace the affected water supplies to the quality at least equal of the water supply prior to becoming affected is a violation of the Oil and Gas Act and other sections of our Pennsylvania laws that are cited in this document. Cabot's unpermitted discharge of natural gas to the groundwater is a violation of Section 401 of the Clean Streams Law and other laws cited here. The violations set forth in paragraphs M through P above constitute unlawful conduct pursuant to Section 509 of the Oil and Gas Act and other citations. Page 10. Findings. Cabot agrees that the findings in paragraphs A through L, R through U, W through X, Z, AA, AD, AG, AH, AJ to AK, AN, and AP above are true and correct, and in any matter of proceeding involving Cabot and the department, Cabot shall not challenge the accuracy or validity of these findings. Yes, right. This document that I'm reading from is dated in November of 2009. It is signed by Philip Stallnacher, Vice President, Regional Manager for Cabot Oil and Gas. It is also signed by Kenneth S. Komaraski, attorney for Cabot. The sentence prior to those two signatures says, signature by Cabot's attorney certifies only that the consent order and agreement has been signed after consulting with counsel. Unfortunately, that consent order and agreement was not complied with. On April 15, 2010, a second consent order and agreement between the department and Cabot was signed. I'm going to read you portions of the second consent order and agreement that this company signed with the department. Cabot did not comply with all of its obligations under the 2009 agreement. As discussed further below, Cabot did not comply with the requirements of paragraph 4.1I.2 of the 2009 agreement, as it failed to identify in its integrity report all of the Cabot wells that had insufficient improper casing and or cementing, and it failed to identify the specific corrective actions needed to address the Guestford 3 and Guestford 9 wells, which the department had already determined to have insufficient improper casing and or cementing, as documented in paragraph I in the 2009 agreement. As also discussed further below, Cabot did not comply with the requirements of paragraph 4.1 of the 2009 agreement, as it failed by March 31st, 2010 to complete any and all actions to prevent the unpermitted discharge of natural gas from the Cabot wells or any other well owned and or operated by Cabot within the effective areas into the waters of the Commonwealth. Pursuant to paragraph 4.I of the 2009 agreement, Cabot submitted an integrity plan to the department which identified how Cabot would test for and ensure the integrity of the casing and cement of certain Cabot wells. On November 20th, 2009, the department approved the integrity plan. On February 3, 2010, the department received from Cabot the integrity report, which identified the results from the testing that it had done in accordance with the approved integrity plan. Paragraph 4.I.2 of the 2009 agreement required that the integrity report describe the tests completed, test results, and any corrective actions needed to address the Cabot wells, including the Guestford 3 and Guestford 9 wells, that had insufficient improper casing and or cementing. On March 9 and 10, 2010, the department inspected certain Cabot wells and observed that gas was bubbling, that gas bubbling was continuing to occur in the cellar for the Eli number 5H well and the Eli number 7H well, contrary to the results reported by Cabot in its integrity report. Additionally, the department observed gas bubbling in the cellars for the following Cabot wells in the affected area: Guestford number 2, Hubbard number 5H, Ratsell number 1H, Ratsell number 2H, and Teal number 7. The presence of gas bubbling in the cellars of these Cabot wells indicates that these wells may also have insufficient and or improper cemented casing. Cabot agrees that the findings in paragraphs A through S above are true and correct, and in any matter or proceeding involving Cabot and the department, Cabot shall not challenge the accuracy or validity of these findings. There's a great deal more in here, which I won't read to you. It is signed, in this case, by Dan O. Dinges, Chief Executive Officer for Cabot Oil and Gas Corporation. It is also signed by Kenneth S. Komaraski, Esquire, attorney for Cabot. The department has inspected these wells numerous times. We have observed gas bubbling, we have observed gas leaking, we have videotaped these matters. We have recorded pressures that are, by any reasonable standard, high within the wells, that are consistent with the problems that have been reported here. We have done sophisticated gas testing to source the gas. And that testing completely identifies the gas as coming from the Cabot wells to several of these properties. Even without the agreement of Cabot, in 2 separate agreements, the case is overwhelming. I want to also tell you, because unfortunately Cabot has apparently decided to launch a public campaign at this late date, about some of the work that we've done with Cabot since they signed the 2nd consent order and agreement on April 15th. Since that date, we have extended extraordinary opportunity to Cabot to communicate and to meet with department personnel, including senior officials within the department, including myself. I have personally scheduled 13 meetings or calls with Cabot, almost weekly, since April of 2010, to review this matter with them in the hope that we could cooperate and finally resolve this issue. Now let me say something that I haven't said up to now, but is at the heart of this matter. We've had people here in Pennsylvania without safe drinking water at their homes and properties for close to 2 years. That is totally, totally unacceptable. It is reprehensible. We have given Cabot every opportunity to resolve this matter. And I'm sure people in this room think we've given them way too much opportunity. We have entered into agreements with this company that they have signed and their attorneys have signed. And yet we have not resolved this matter as we meet here today. And at this point, Cabot has apparently chosen to publicly say, in letters and even in paid advertising, that they are completely not responsible for these activities. They have even gone so far to say that they signed these documents, quote unquote, under duress. The laughter, I understand the laughter. Mr. Dinges is the CEO of a major corporation. He has immense resources at his command. He has attorneys that he's paying a great deal of money to. And they signed these documents. And they were free to not sign these documents. They were free to litigate. They were free to do anything they wanted. But they signed both of these documents. And they have not complied with the terms of these documents to date, and we still have a problem. So, despite continuous discussions with Cabot, it is with regret that we don't have Cabot here today. It's been part of the solution to this problem. I personally wanted and hoped that Cabot would be joining us here today. And again, I regret that they're not here. At this point, I want to start talking to you about what we're going to do to resolve this problem. And we're going to take decisive action now because we cannot possibly wait any longer. And we must have a solution to this problem that not only is decisive, but is permanent. That assures, no matter what happens from here, that the families impacted will have safe drinking water. And the department has come to the conclusion that the really only way to assure that, and it's certainly the best way to assure that, is to extend a drinking water line from Montrose. Now I want to talk about a different kind of company. I want to talk about Pennsylvania American Water Company. Pennsylvania American Water Company is a company that I have personally had a great deal of both dealings with as a customer. I'm personally a customer of the Pennsylvania American Water Company. I use their water, I drink their water. My children drank their water. Guests to my home drink their water. I have been a regulator of the Pennsylvania American Water Company in this job and in a previous job as the Commissioner of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission. And the Pennsylvania American Water Company is a fine company with a deep commitment to the state and its people. And we are really fortunate to be in a situation at this juncture where the Pennsylvania American Water Company is willing and able to extend its service to this area and to the families who have had a loss of water service. In a moment, I'm going to ask the President of the Pennsylvania American Water Company to come up here and make a few remarks. I want to be clear about how this process is going to move forward. The Pennsylvania American Water Company has made an application to a state agency called PennVest that provides financing for water and sewer projects. That application for financing will be considered on November 9th, meeting of PennVest. I serve also as the Vice Chairman of PennVest. We are going to move this project forward initially, apparently without the assistance of Cabot and without them paying initially for this project.
Mr. Hanger, I just want to state that Cabot is here. The PR man, George Starks, is here. Oh. So maybe he would like to speak.
No, please, at this point, I'm not interested in hearing Cabot. They can of course be here, the public meeting. The meeting on November 9th will be held in Harrisburg. It will have an application with the Pennsylvania American Water Company to extend service here. It's also going to be absolutely the work and the goal of the Department of Environmental Protection and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to seek full cost recovery from Cabot for this water line. We are going to do everything we can to hold Cabot financially responsible for this water line. But we're not going to wait and go through what could be long legal proceedings with Cabot in order to get this work going. We're going to get this work going as soon as it's humanly possible, and we will fight with Cabot if that's what Cabot wants to do in other forums. Before I bring Kathy Pape up here, I also want to thank the staff at the Department of Environmental Protection who have worked long and hard on this matter. I want to particularly recognize Scott Perry, who has done great work here. And I can assure you, Scott has been working literally around the clock on this matter. All right. Now I would ask Kathy Pape to come up here. She's the president of the Pennsylvania American Water Company. Kathy?
Thank you, Secretary Hanger. Good morning.
Good morning.
Never been so pleased to be inside a church. On behalf of the more than 1,000 employees of Pennsylvania American Water, I'd like to extend my appreciation to the Department of Environmental Protection for giving Pennsylvania American Water the opportunity to bring a permanent long-term solution to provide water quality and to also provide water quantity to the residents in Dimock. Many of you may not know about Pennsylvania American Water, so let me just take a few minutes to tell you a little bit about our company. We are the largest investor-owned water and wastewater service provider in Pennsylvania. We provide water and wastewater service in 36 counties to more than 2.2 million people. We provide service right here in this county as well, so some of you may know us. We're old, an old company. We were founded in 1886. We are wholly owned by American Water, which is the largest water and wastewater service provider in the United States. American Water treats and delivers more than 1 billion gallons of water every day. 1 billion gallons of water. So we know about water. It's what we do all the time. American Water provides service in 35 states to 16 million people. So this is our business. We don't do other things, but we do water. I want to let you know, this is a complicated project that we're talking about. This is not, as sometimes I say to our folks, we need to get water from here to here. Put a pipe in. It's not as easy as that. So it's complicated. We're going to put in this $11.8 million project, 12.5 miles of pipe. We're going to put in pressure regulating stations. We're going to put in hydrants. And importantly, we're going to put in a water treatment system. I don't want you to be concerned, though, because it's complicated. I want you to be aware. It's not like 2 weeks from now it'll be here. Pennsylvania American Water does complex projects all of the time. I could talk to you all day. We could stay here all day, and I could tell you about our complicated projects. One that comes to mind, though, is relatively similar to this. Last November, we dedicated a project in Mount Pleasant, Washington County in southwest PA. We put in 28 miles of pipe and a 350,000 gallon tank to serve 700 residents whose wells, private wells, did not meet drinking water standards. So we've done this before. The water that will come to the residents of Dimock after this project is finished will come from our Lake Montrose system. Not surprisingly, it's from Lake Montrose. There's a source of supply there. And I'm very proud to tell you that in our Lake Montrose water treatment plant, we are members of the EPA Partnership for Safe Water. And what that means is that we treat water at that plant and 28 of our other plants in Pennsylvania to a standard that is higher than is required by regulation. Just a few months ago, the Lake Montrose water treatment plant received a 10-year Director's Award from EPA. And that means that for 10 consecutive years, this plant has met the standards of the partnerships, meaning that the water was treated to standards that were higher than regulation. At the end of the day, the bottom line of all of this is, in Pennsylvania, too many of us take water for granted. And too many Americans take water for granted until we encounter a situation like this. And Ben Franklin said a number of years ago, we never appreciate the well water. We never appreciate water until the well runs dry. Once again, I want to thank DEP for giving us this opportunity to provide you with a long-term permanent solution for quality and reliable water service to Dimock. And I know the residents in Dimock do appreciate the value of water. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Sure. Do you want to come up here?
Yeah. First of all, I really want to thank you from all of us.
Welcome.
We have extreme gratitude for you taking this forceful action. We've waited a long time, as you've explained, and we appreciate that you are committed to this and that you are enforcing the regulation of our state with this private industry that is here. Although the water, I'm really happy to hear what you had to say about the quality of the water, because we do have concerns about replacing what we had with this treated water. Many of my friends here want that good pure water that they had originally, and we know that that's not the way it is now. We have to compromise, and this is a compromise that we are in agreement, and we're very grateful for it. So thank you again. The realization that we're going to be a year or two without this, I don't know how long you think this will take, but it's going to be a while that we're still going to have to operate with supplemented water. And at this point, I want to make it clear that we are not happy with the supplemented water, and we hope that you can step up for us on this. The DEP determined Cabot responsible for giving us a replacement water. Well, we're getting water in the containers that are for cattle use. We're getting, water that we aren't comfortable using. And it's also being delivered by a business that we're not sure that they are legal or certified to be in the water purveying business. So I would think that you can take care of that for us. We could get a neutral company to bring us water instead of one that we have to deal with the nasty remarks and they're connected to Cabot in other ways. We want that off the table also, so I'm making that clear, that our supplement water should be delivered by a neutral company that will not bring armed guards when they enter our property. These residents under any more stress than we already have been for quite a while. I know that Mr. Ely wanted to mention something about it's important to know that Cabot is on our property repeatedly testing. Do you need them to continue to test for gas? Aren't you in charge of that?
Let's talk about that.
Okay, well, we need to...
We certainly are testing as well.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
I just want to thank you again for this decision today.
Thank you. All right. Again, at this point, I'm available for some questions. Why don't we start here?
Give us some idea of roughly how long it's going to take. A couple of years before they start.
18 months.
Domestic one.
As soon as we get through the Penvest process, the grant, we started to do some pilot testing already.
Okay.
But it will start as soon as we'll start construction, turn over dirt as soon as we get that Penvest grant.
Well, realistically, understanding as we don't, whatever that PennDOT pre-process
Penvest.
is. Penvest, I'm sorry. Penvest process is, what's a reasonable expectation of the shuttle being in the ground? What's the date?
In a couple months.
The November 9th meeting that's
Yes.
in front of Penvest?
Right.
When this was originally announced, it seemed that it was a 6 or 7 mile pipeline at $10.5 million. Where did we get to 11.8
I'm
and 12.4?
going to let Kathy.
Yeah, the pipeline coming from Montrose to the area is 5.5 miles. And then, you get it there, that doesn't get it to somebody's home. So then there's distribution piping as well. That's about 7.5. So it's about 12.5 miles in total of pipe. Not all 12.5 comes from the plant to the area. The other 7.5 is to get it around to the homes. The difference in cost is really a refinement of cost. Originally, it was an estimate, and you start to refine your estimates. And I should tell you that it will be bid. This is a project that will be bid, so the cost could be higher or lower after the bids come in.
How many, I'm sorry, did you say 18 families, would you say?
There's at least 18, and of course other members of the community and other facilities and companies that are in the area will be free to contact Pennsylvania American Water if they wish to obtain service. So it could be more. Yeah.
Mr. Hanger, you're on record as stating that with all the drilling going on, there's bound to be environmental impact, but the economic benefits outweigh the environmental impact. Now, I think that your responsible attitude has led us to where we are today, and I want to know if you have changed your opinion in that regard.
Well, it's a fair question, and of course, unfortunately, the activity here and frankly the behavior of Cabot and failure to fix this problem long ago has escalated the cost. But I will tell you at this point, and I'm speaking now on behalf of the governor, that the governor does support a moratorium on state forests. Unfortunately, in many parts of the state, drilling has in fact proceeded in a manner where while the costs are never zero, there is an impact. This is industrial activity, and it cannot be done without cost. In many parts of the state, it has gone reasonably well. And then there is Dimock, which is an absolute case of how terribly wrong it has gone. And there have been other problems that have been very direct. There have been too many spills and too many leaks, too much gas migrating. This is not the only place that gas has migrated. I would like questions to remain on the topic at hand. I'd be glad offline to talk with people about the more general issues of drilling. But we have obviously an important announcement here, and I want to try to address that specifically. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Mr. Hanger, and I don't know what it means, but this pertains to Lake Montrose, which sits atop the Marcellus Shale, which they intend to deplete. How can you guarantee, and what is your backup plan if Montrose Lake water goes south?
Well, in terms of drilling near Montrose, that again is something that I'm sure you're, Kathy, have issues about and concerns about, and that will, in fact, be a matter that we need to address. Yes?
Secretary Hanger, Craig Stevens, sixth-generation landowner in Silver Lake Township. November 2nd, we're going to have an election, and things are going to change here, including the governor and your position. Can we have a commitment from you today and ask the governor to do the same? That an executive order will be signed, that I want this continued, I do not want it stalled, because many of the people running for elected office right now and that are in this position have taken quite a bit of money from the gas and oil industry.
We are going to do everything to have this project contracted and signed, sealed, and delivered in terms of the legal terms before the governor leaves office. Governor Rendell is personally concerned about this situation, has personally made a commitment to get this done so that it really isn't reversible. And I have to say, no matter who the governor is, I cannot believe a governor of Pennsylvania will turn his back on this situation. Again, these matters are overwhelming. The legal documents are overwhelming. So I understand the concern. To be frank, once in a while I think those that way too. But we are, in fact, moving things rapidly. And I do really believe that what is right here is so clear that any governor is going to stand where we're standing today.
Secretary Hanger? Yes. Could you tell me why a municipal water supply was selected instead of the nearest safe groundwater supply, which would have been more closer in terms of...
Well, we met with, I believe you're the attorney, we met with your clients, and your clients asked for this to be done. All right? I would like questions from the families or media. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. The families are obviously accustomed to getting water for free once the wells are drilled. Are you going to make some kind of situation where the county will be responsible for paying for the monthly water fees down as well?
It is generally, in fact, it's not generally, it is the law that in a situation like this, that the monthly water fees also be paid for by the party that caused the pollution. And that we will be pursuing full cost recovery and full recovery of all matters, such as the one you just mentioned from Cabot.
Do you have an estimate on what that would cost?
Not as I stand here, but whatever it is, our position will be that Cabot pays for those costs from members of the media or families. Yes.
Will you be pursuing litigation against Cabot for the costs of this water system?
The answer is essentially yes. And I say essentially yes because I always hope you can avoid litigation, and I stand here hoping that Cabot will decide to, in fact, become part of the solution here. But if they don't, the answer is absolutely yes.
Is the DP drafting any sort of litigation at this point?
Our attorneys are busy, and if we don't have Cabot's assistance, voluntary assistance, the legal documents will be filed. Yes.
Yeah, Secretary Hanger, I'm sure you're aware that they have armed guards coming to do testing with the Cabot people. Can you order them not to come and do any testing anymore? So we don't have to put up with anybody?
I would like to talk with you offline. I think that's an important topic. I understand the concern about armed guards, and let me say this to everybody involved. Everybody involved. Put the guns away. This is not, we're in a church, it's a very appropriate place to be making this point. Everybody has to do this through the law. Cabot has to follow the law. You have to follow the law. I understand the concern about guns. Emotions have been high. I understand that. But this has to be done in a peaceful, respectful manner.
Secretary Hanger, there are significant reports
Can we do the families first, Josh? I know. I'll stand in front of your camera. Don't worry.
As Cabot continues to dispute and deny your decisions, what are you going to do about that? They have always continued to deny publicly, at every interview, everywhere they are, they deny your findings. What can you do about that? I'm tired of hearing them say, we didn't do it.
At the end of the day, what we can do is pursue aggressively the resolution in the real world. We're bypassing Cabot if Cabot needs to be bypassed. We're going to go build this. And beyond that, if we have to pursue legal options, we will pursue legal options. Mr. Dinges is sitting in Houston, and I can tell him from here in Dimock, Pennsylvania deserves better. Families and media? Yep.
No, not family, public.
Okay. Any families? And then we'll go to media.
What about people who have not yet received water? Will they start receiving water?
All of those issues are going to be resolved case by case, but in terms of this solution, it's a solution that's going to be available not only to the immediately 18 affected families that are identified, but potentially to other families, of course. So offline, we can resolve or look into further some of those other issues. Media or family?
I'm from the Associated Press, and I just wanted to get you to respond to something specific that Cabot claimed in its letter to you, that you abused your authority by commingling grant of future drilling and well permits to Cabot's willingness to concede to the department's demands in connection with the orders.
Well, again, the discussions with Cabot were certainly hard, and they were certainly fair, meaning I had counsel, Mr. Dinges had counsel, and last time I checked, Mr. Dinges is not a 90-year-old widow sitting in a nursing home who is incompetent to sign a legal document even without. He didn't quite let me finish. Even without counsel, he's fully competent to sign documents without counsel, but he had counsel. That argument that they are making, I think, tells you everything you need to know about how Cabot has proceeded, not only with the families here, but with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, this governor, and this secretary.
Secretary Hanger.
All right, Josh.
There are significant reports of water contamination elsewhere in Pennsylvania. Does this mean that the Commonwealth is preparing to replace water everywhere that there's gas drilling and everywhere that there's contamination?
Well, and the answer to your question is that where water is contaminated and can't be resolved without replacement, we have replaced it. We've replaced it because of all kinds of groundwater pollution that has nothing to do with drilling, and in some cases we've done it because of drilling. I can tell you this, the companies that we deal with none of them have operated in the way that we have seen Cabot operate here. We have companies that are actually solving problems as opposed to denying problems.
I mean...
Okay. And one family, and then we'll go outside.
I know Cabot keeps on sort of bucking the system against you guys, the DEP, against us and everything. Is there any way, if they keep on going like this, they will be shut down?
You know, that's a question that I think a lot of people are asking, and I think every company in Pennsylvania needs to understand there's a point at which that operations reach such a critically poor level that question in fact can be answered yes. I said publicly that companies can operate in a manner that would cause this state to seek to shut them down. I'm not at this point with Cabot yet, but that option is an option that exists under the law.
How much work does it need to get?
Is on the table. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to hear from Cabot, since Cabot is here. I'd like them to have the floor. I'd like to see some equal time to Cabot.
This is an event we came to learn. Likewise, I will make myself available afterwards. I'm, again, here on behalf of Cabot, but I also wanted to come and learn what was happening today.
Okay, but you can have
I think
the floor.
that's it for now, and I'll be glad to talk to anybody else outside.
believe it not. It's a good question. I would hope it does not.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
We are willing, we have been willing to we stay committed to that.
Fulfill your consent order.
We will do all we can for the Secretary, Department, and the Executive Director. That is why we are doing what we are doing.
I feel it in my throat, my eyes bother, I'm getting a headache.
There are several.
I'm going to go with this.
What's he saying?
He's going to take care of us families on Carter Road.
Always has. But I'm sure you always feel it yourself. I mean, it's positive.
We believe that there are options. People are quite different.
Yeah.
There have been opportunities where Cabot has run into armed residents.
Armed opportunities or one?
We have had to install and had to employ the use of an armed guard every once in a while where we run into an armed resident. It is not our wholesale practice by any means to use armed guards.
Do you have any specific residents that have, I mean, any specific instances of residents that have been armed?
We do.
Name them. Name them.
I would rather not name them.
Name them, because there aren't more than one.
What are the options are there as far as replacing
The options are several. And again, we have successfully drilled a water well in the affected area on adjacent properties. It's producing high quality, high quantity water right now. That is an option we could do that.
Why did you drill that?
We would like to show there are several options available, from refurbishing wells works. We've been able to restore the wells. We've been able to place filtration systems in the home. That works also. And we also have the ability to drill new water wells right there.
Why would you have to do it if you didn't contaminate the way you put in your ads?
Is that we're trying to show that there are options available today to replace the water systems that are there.
Is the reason why some of these steps have not been taken, at least for the families along Carter Road, is because of the lawsuit at this point?
The lawsuit is definitely an obstacle to getting this issue resolved.
I'm the lawyer I'm the lead attorney on the lawsuit, so as soon as this gentleman has closed his mouth, you can ask me any question and I can tell you about how Cabot has not cooperated. In the entire pursuit of litigation since the case was filed, November 21, 2009, this gentleman is a Johnny-come-lately.
Keep talking, guys.
Cabot is looking at all its options.
Are they drafting anything against the DP?
I'm certain Cabot is looking at all its options.
So at this point, Cabot is not going to agree to foot the bill for an $11-point-something million public water line.
What we now want to do, now that we know the full story, is we want to meet with the Secretary and figure out how we put the pieces together on this. This is news for us that this would be the final option. That's what we've been trying to find out from the Secretary, what we would do for a solution in this area. So now we want, again, we need to figure out how we have those conversations with the Secretary now that we know this option. We've been laying out options along the way.
But you're not absolutely today ruling out that Cabot will agree to pay for the water line.
It would be difficult for me right now to say that we would be agreeing to pay. It is our goal to lay out options that are available that we think won't take 18 months to restore the water.
This may have already been asked, but as far as that full-page ad, it seemed as though it was kind of taking aim at the DEP. Could you just at least readdress why that was taken out?
The issue that was laid out in the full-page ad was a desire to educate and inform the public that has not heard that there are multiple sources of ways to solve this problem. And that's why the full-page ad was taken out. It was not to take aim at anyone, as it was to educate people. There are several ways to solve the problem, and that's what we're trying to do.
But it did take aim at the DEP, and John Hanger called him out by name. I mean, how can you say that it didn't take aim? It did.
It took aim with the options that are being laid out, and we think there are several options that were not being fully addressed and fully given the evidence that they are there. We can lay it out and show this. There are several options. We wanted the public.
How about magic?
To know.
Magic wand!
Yeah.
Address or no address, why sign the consent order if you know
They're going to interview us after that.
what's right?
I would stick with the statement.
But even with duress, I mean, why would you legally sign that document?
Good question. I'm staying with the duress.
Why are you demonizing us local residents? If we speak up against it, we become the enemy. We're not the enemy. We're here to...
All right, can we speak for a moment?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Can you come down here?
Oh, sure. Is that better for you?
Yeah, I think that's
yeah. Well, guess what, man? I think it's going to get bigger than anything now.
Okay, no problem.
You know, you don't know this, but I'm related to